Thank you all so much for attending this very important discussion, and I appreciate your opening comments. I have the highest regard for the Center for Health and Healthcare and the work that only the World Economic Forum can do to bring all of the actors together to address really important issues.
Before we jump into the main topic for today's video, I'm going to read the conflicted question of the day. As per usual, our panel will answer the question at the end of the video, and we'd love to hear your answers in the comment section down below. One of your friends has become a problem that could put at risk the lives of your entire group, including your family. Your friend won't stop his reckless behavior and refuses to be thrown out of the group since he contributed to it, and his wife and children have nowhere to go. He has lost it, and now he is putting the entire group at risk. But no one has the heart to deal with this but you. You tried to have a serious conversation, but that still didn't work. How would you handle this situation and why? And we're back, and we've got a star-studded panel today. Those of you who are regular followers will recognize Jeff, our in-house CIA operative. Just a quick little side story. We were accused many times of being CIA operatives, and we're not, so we went and got one just for our audience. Survival Dispatch News. So, and then we've got Todd and Lisa. Todd, why don't you go first, introduce yourself, and then Lisa as well.
Sure. I'm a lawyer by training, but spent most of my time as a CEO of a large insurance group. And I came from the vaccine background. So when Lloyd Austin decided to force 1.4 million active duty service members, I dusted off my trial suit and became a trial lawyer again. So I sued the DOD. It was the first case against the DOD, HHS, FDA. That journey has been a long 3-year journey. I collected Lisa along the way as a lead researcher. And the end result, ladies and gentlemen, we've put in front of the Supreme Court that people that got the Moderna and Pfizer shot.
Thanks, Todd. Lisa, do you want to give us a quick background?
Just as Todd said, I discovered Todd, became part of his team about 3.5 years ago. And it's just being part of his team and him as a leader has just changed the course of my life. It's given me the opportunity to just really dive into research and realize that I love it. And we're finding some pretty amazing, shocking discoveries, I guess is the best way to put it. Unbelievable.
I appreciate that, Lisa. Because we don't want to anger the YouTube gods and have our channel completely shut down. So, Jeff, let's start with you, just because you worked when you're at the CIA, you work in the field of bioterrorism. You can explain it much better than I can.
Our job was obviously trying to find out what the other guys were doing. The United States hasn't had a bioweapons program since 1999, although they do research to counter what the other people have, which is only smart. But our job was to basically find out as much information about foreign bioweapons programs as possible, be they state actors or terrorist groups.
Suffice it to say that with regards to bioweapons, you're a subject matter expert. That would be your field.
I avoid that because to me, a subject matter expert in that is the guy who's got a PhD in biochemistry and microbiology, and I do not. I'm an engineer. My job was to acquire the information, or in certain cases, maybe even acquire samples of the agents in question through various methods.
Fair enough. As far as Survival Dispatch News is concerned, know more about bioweapons than any of the rest of us. Put it that way. Disease X all over the news, right? It's stuff going on at the WEF annual meeting in Switzerland. You've got Bill Gates discussing it, World Health Organization discussing it, all the rest of the control oligarchs discussing it.
They're planning it, Chris, not just discussing it. They're planning the release of it.
Fair enough. Touche. Point taken. Jeff, in your opinion, what is this Disease X thing? Like, is it an actual disease? Is it a concept? Clearly there's some plan behind it, as Todd just mentioned, but let's start with you, Jeff, and give me your thoughts on this.
I can't tell you what Disease X is, if there even really is a Disease X, or is it something they're just putting structure in place so that when there is another pandemic, and there always is, there will always be another one, that they can basically turn the switch. Not to sound like a tinfoil conspiracy guy, though, closing down the country again. That's entirely possible. But as far as what it actually is, no idea. Could it be a COVID variant? It could be MRSA variant. It could be a flu variant. Let's not forget, 1919, the H1N1 strain, the Spanish flu got out, killed between 10 and 100 million people worldwide, killed 500,000 Americans back when our population was about 1/3 of what it is now. So if you had a disease like that, and it's a virus, there are vaccines for it, but they're never 100% effective because the viruses mutate. It's why you have a different flu shot every year, because they're trying to predict which variant's going to pop up again. But if it had a vulnerable population, it'd be devastating.
This episode of SDN is brought to you by Switch It Up, your national grid down service provider. Get a quote on a solar PV system with battery backup at switchitupinc.com or click the link in the video description below.
I can guarantee you with 100% certainty that not only is there going to be another pandemic, but there already is one, and you're already in the middle of it. And how do we know this? Because on December 9, 2020, HHS declared a Marburg pandemic. They activated the Marburg provisions of the PrEP Act. Marburg is a hemorrhagic fever, high fatality rate, along with Ebola and others like it. When this declaration happened, your human rights, in addition to your constitutional rights.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Before we started recording this episode of Survival Dispatch News, I was under the impression that disease X was a specific pathogen or was going to be some specific pathogen. But then as the discussion went on with a couple of subject matter experts that we brought in, we discovered that it's much more than just a simple pathogen, which is actually a means to an end. As such, we cannot publish the main content for this video, from this video, on YouTube without risking being deplatformed. As soon as I'm done speaking this little PSA here, we will answer the conflicted question of the day. But if you want to see the full unredacted version, you're going to have to go over to CloutHub and check it out. There's no ads over there. We're not being compensated to put stuff over there. We're doing this strictly because we cannot risk speaking on the true meaning of disease X on YouTube without getting thrown off. I should have known that when I watched Steve Ram's video yesterday, and he basically did something similar to this, but directed people over to Rumble. Anyway, we appreciate you following Survival Dispatch News. Hope you enjoy the conflicted question of the day, which is coming up next, and hope to see you over on CloutHub to view the full unredacted version of this video. Usually Mike Sterling does this. Jeff will tell you Mike takes a tremendous pleasure in these questions, but because they really do bring your morality into question. So imagine, so this is from the downfall deck. So that means that we're in a post-apocalyptic world. The shit has hit the fan. So one of your friends has become a problem that could put at risk the lives of your entire group, including your family. Your friend won't stop his reckless behavior and refuses to be thrown out of the group since he contributed to it, and his wife and children have nowhere to go. He has lost it, and now he is putting the entire group at risk, but no one has the heart to deal with this but you. You tried to have a serious conversation, but that still didn't work. How would you handle this situation, and why?
Well, this is why we created law enforcement in jails. And when a group of people get together and form a society, meaning people get along together, when you have outliers, outcasts, people that have whatever kind of challenges, it's why people elect sheriffs. It's why people create laws, and you have to segregate that person out. If you can't get rid of them, in the Bible days, they would expel them out into the desert, go fend for yourself. But you already eliminated that possibility. So the answer is you jail them. You eliminate them from being a problem by confining them.
Good answer. Really good answer. Lisa, get your thoughts.
Well, I could just say ditto. Does that count?
It does.
No, I think it's, as a mom, I'm thinking of that tough love. You're out. These are the family rules. These are the house rules. This is how this group operates. And if you can't do that, if you tried the interventions, if you tried but it's putting your foot down and saying, this is how we live our lives. And like Todd said, we're banishing you if you don't want to participate. You've given them grace, you've tried to help, but if they're not willing to participate and step up,
drop the hammer.
I'm kind of the same way. I go back to the time when my brother and I were fighting. We broke my dad's piano, which did not go over well with Dad. And I was 15 and my brother was 18. And my dad set my brother down and said, either you get your act together or you're leaving the house. He says, he's 15. I can't kick him out. You're 18. I can and will kick you out. And my brother got his act together. But that's basically what you have to do and say, we have rules, we have decorum, you're violating it. You got a choice. You can either get your act together or pack your crap and leave, because we don't have to put up with your juvenile behavior. You basically act like a parent, but you got to have the rest of the group willing to back you up on it too.
That's a good answer. My initial thought was the same as Todd's: incarceration, and for all the reasons he listed, but also another reason. So again, imagine that we're in this post-apocalyptic world, and does art imitate life or does life imitate art? If you look at all these different shows like The Walking Dead, a lot of it is BS, but it's probably safe to say that in a post-apocalyptic world that there will be groups other than your own, and that resources will be at a premium. I'm not kicking this guy out of my group and having him go team up with somebody else and telling them what we've got just to come back and attack us. So that's the second reason that incarceration would be what I'd do with the guy.
I think what's sad is The Walking Dead is probably, people are going to look at it as a survival guide.
Oh God.
Instead of a TV show. So people who would have normally been normal human beings are going to turn into.
Well, this is interesting, and I'm sure you guys know it. Todd and I have talked about this. There is a section on the CDC that gives instructions on how to deal with an apocalyptic attack. And when you and it was a very deep conversation and philosophical with Todd, being parents, when we're watching, and the fear, this fentanyl and these drugs and so many fears for your kids, but because that is a bioweapon, they are destroying lives. But you look around, these communities, these are so toxic, but their bodies are surviving. Many are dying. What are these DOAs that are Jane Does? What are they doing with those bodies and that toxic inside of them? But they're surviving, and they're making camps, and they're surviving winters and cold temperatures. And when we look up, when our Netflix isn't working and our bonbon box is gone, they change the tune of a drug addict to a zombie, and people who aren't paying attention, it's going to work, because it's a soulless, it's a mind and soul that's been hijacked and taken, but the physical is still functioning.
Yeah, Mike Sterling, kind of related to what you're saying, Lisa consistently says, we have outsourced our security and safety to others, meaning the government, law enforcement. And now that's why we sit in front of, well, not we, because I'm not a TV guy, but in general, sit in front of their TV watching Netflix, eating their bonbons, because I don't have to worry about being secure because the cops are patrolling the city, and we have law and order and all those good things. And once again, appreciate all y'all coming on Survival Dispatch News today, and look forward to the next time. And for all of our followers out there, stay safe and stay frosty.